This video is not sponsored by Nova Resume. They haven't got in contact with me. This is just something that I found separately that I think is really good for people who are taking their CV a bit more seriously. People who've probably just started watching some of the content on this channel have probably noticed that I haven't uploaded anything in quite a few months. But one of the things that caught my attention over the last few weeks and months was this post online that I saw. It was a bit of like an online marketing push by a company who were making CVs, and as you can see, they made a CV for Elon Musk, which is pretty mad. It summarizes all the information that you need in like a nice, easy to read format and setup on a single page. I remember looking at this and thinking there's a few different examples, and one of the ones that got my attention quite a lot was this one got my attention quite a lot. So what I wanted to do was show my experience of using this Nova Resume software, where it's good, where it's not so good, and see how we can do making a creative CV. So I've pre-made an example CV that I've been working on over the last few days, and I'll run you through it section by section and also run you through the premium features, because I have paid for the premium version, which I think if you are trying to get into some sort of creative role, or you're serious about your CV and your design and the impression you want to give, I think paying for the premium, at least for just a month to try it out, is worth it. So let's get into what I've put in this CV. So at the top, you can see that I've just written my name, and then it asks for you to put in a title. Now, I don't necessarily have a title, so I just put what I do most often, which is present and podcast host, which is pretty reasonable. And then after that, you do a classic thing on CVs where you write a short line that summarizes you, and you can read that there, and it's more just a placeholder, and I'd recommend tailoring that line specifically to the kinds of jobs that you're applying for. You can see this optimizer feature at the top right hand corner here, and if you click it, you can cycle through the different kinds of optimization that it suggests. Now, one of the optimizations suggests that you add social media channels to this panel here, and I've never seen that before, but I'd be interested to see what other people think about whether social media channels are necessary to be put on a CV. Things like Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, that sort of thing. I think LinkedIn is one that would be good on CVs though in general. And then as you can see on the next tab, there is the skills, because I was heavily influenced by seeing what was on that Elon Musk mock-up. I wanted to integrate that into my CV because it looks quite eye-catching, it's quite unique, but it does suffer from the fact that it relies on the user to summarize your proficiency in certain aspects. So things like, communication, event management, public speaking, these are just your approximations of what your ability at these things are. This is not some sort of deep test that you've had to do that has come out at this result. Whether it's completely legit, whether they could have integrated some sort of test that you could have done for some of these skills, maybe that would have improved the trust. But I mean, it's your approximation of your ability in these skill sets. All you do is, for any of these elements, is you just click and it comes up with a little sidebar that allows you to add, and then you can just type in. And if you're struggling to think of ideas, it shows you examples. You just click the little light bulb and it brings you up commonly inputted examples. Things like storytelling. So I like writing scripts, so you might put storytelling, and then you just use the slider, figure out how good you are at that. Layout is what comes particularly important in this. You can click on the layout tab at the top and you can notice how I've got my skills at the top. Then it becomes work, as you can see just underneath. Then education, volunteering, achievements, interests, references. And you can customize all of this stuff through this tab. But if you customize anything, that's when you have to start getting the premium, because unfortunately it'll only allow you to use their predefined setups, which you can see here. And as soon as I click predefined, it changes to this. But I didn't find that to be very useful. I almost, from right at the beginning, wanted it as a custom setup so that I could pretty much make it how I wanted it to look, which was 2 pages, skills, then work, then education, and then all of the interesting stuff. And it seemed to work best for me. But again, this is software that seems to be really customizable and useful if you're also willing to pay the £10 for a month. And then after that, I've just put education. I haven't yet graduated from university, so I just put forecasted 2-1. And then after that, obviously A-level. I made the decision to remove GCSEs, which my original CV has my GCSEs written in it. One, I was definitely struggling to find space to put my GCSEs on this CV. And two, it really didn't feel as relevant as maybe it did before. And I'm not sure if that's because I have more work experience than I did when I was graduating from GCSE, which is definitely true, or whether it's because I'm going to have a degree level qualification, which is worth a bit more in terms of creative jobs than GCSEs are, and whether it's actually important past a certain point, because I can just be like, if you need to see my GCSEs, you can just contact me and I can forward them to you. But that is suppose something that people could consider if they were planning to do this, that you do have to think about space and management and what's important and what's not, and maybe things like GCSEs at a certain level can be taken out. It's definitely up to what you think is most appropriate for your CV. And then after education, it comes volunteer experience, which I've just got 2 things in at the minute. And then it comes achievements, and having to re-update what I'd actually done over the last few years. It was a great opportunity to restock, and I think doing a CV in general is a great chance to just sort of restock and redevelop what you've done, really hammer home about what's important to be added on this thing. And then the last 2 tabs are my references and my interests. I found that you could add some nice little icons, so I did that just to make it a bit more of that creative approach, which I feel like employers are going to appreciate. It is a bit of a gimmick, don't get me wrong, but it does seem to have that sort of creative element. It's a bit fun, it's a bit more interesting to look at, and yeah, it just sort of nicely rounds off the CV in general. And then references, I think, are always important, because you want to have people that are backing up the claims. If it's more general, then fine, but you want people that are able to back up your claims anyway. So that is in general how the CV profile works. Everything's editable. You just click it and then you just add more sections. As I say, the layout allows you to format what module fits first, but to do it custom, you do have to have premium account. And what I was talking about before about saving certain modules to be used on different CVs, there's a feature on this program that allows you to basically save elements of a CV that you're going to use quite regularly, so that when you make a new one, you don't have to type it all out for the first time again. You can save it, and if I show you my work experience, you can showcase it all in here, and all you have to do is not drag and drop, but you click and it adds it for you. And I mean, I've already got that one in, so now it's added it a second time. And then if you do add something that you don't want in, you just click the delete button. Share it between multiple CVs. You can see there when you highlight over them, it just says copy to my content, and you just click that, and then it just copies it straight in, and it shows the tick box because it tells you that you've got it in your CV. So I'd recommend saving all the things you're inputting so that if you ever need them again, you don't have to write them out again. In terms of specific, really specific CV edits at this point, you can also change fonts, but I don't really see much of the point of that. They're pretty good. They don't really change that much. There's Railway, there's Roboto, there's Quicksand, there's all those classic ones. I just stuck with the original. There's also theme, color changes. I mean, I just stuck with this one because I like the vibe of it, but you can change them. And I mean, I'm on premium, so I can have any color that I want. And then there's also the background elements, which I don't see as being very good, but you can add little shapes to the background. It's like a little transparency layer. Again, bit of a gimmick, probably not going to stand you out too much, other than just to make it seem less cookie cutter than the original sort of templates that this company provides. And then also in the settings, you've got things like general, so you can change the months, the dates, the formats, and all that sort of stuff, how the page numbers are represented, whether you want it page 1 of 2 or just 1/2, you can add that, or you can even add a creation date for the CV itself. And then once you've finished, after you've inputted all this information and you're happy with how it looks, you do get 1 free download with Novo Resume, which I think is quite cool, but it is limited to 1 page, no custom layouts, so it's only using the predefined layouts. Things like fonts and themes and colors, you're stuck with pretty much what you get stock. And also things like the different skills sliders, you're stuck with the basic one, and then you go to settings and you can change which infographic it looks like, and the one you get with stock is just these dots, which I didn't like the look of because it looks a little bit too sort of regimented and basic. I just changed it to a slider that looks a bit more fancy. And then once you've done with all that, all you got to do is hit the download button and it creates a PDF. And I think one of the main drawbacks to the original non-premium version of Novo Resume is the fact that it only gives you 1 downloadable copy of your CV before you have to upgrade, which is kind of restrictive. So yeah, this is the kind of content that I was thinking about making. If you are thinking about writing or maybe updating your CV, check it out. You might find it useful. Definitely not for everyone, but I think it might be something good that you could maybe try out. Let me know what you think about this kind of content, whether you actually start making more of this sort of stuff, sharing the kind of things that I've found useful, whether it be applying for grants, the York Award. Let me know if this is kind of stuff you'd find useful and things that I find along the way, because I'm excited to hopefully keep making content on this channel. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.